a rice paddy village. And that family had access to some limited electricity, but they were required to turn off their single fluorescent light at a certain time of the night in order to preserve their rationing of power. Because countries like this have failed to meet the growing energy demands of a growing economy and an expanding society. Unfortunately, in the state of New Jersey, while of course my example may seem somewhat extreme and it is meant to make a point, as that we also appear to be failing to meet the needs of an expanding economy, to grow an economy, and to provide to the growing energy needs of our society. And what we've seen happening over the last several years is our utility companies, once private sector entities who met the needs of a growing free market sector through new energy sources and power plants, have been so overregulated by the government and so interfered with by bureaucrats in Trenton that they are finding it difficult, if not impossible, apparently to meet the growing energy needs of our economy. Heaping rather a substantial additional energy tax on the backs of New Jersey consumers and small businesses. And there's no better example of that than the recent surcharges that have been added to our utility bills in the last week. Everyone in New Jersey who opened their utility bill last week got hit in the face with that message. This summer, turn off your air conditioners. This summer, turn down the use of power. This summer, we want to trade comfort for what the government calls efficiency, as they continue to capitulate to this ridiculous nonsense about reducing New Jersey's emissions because of under some premise of preserving the environment. When in all actuality, this effort is going to drive businesses out of the state of New Jersey, drive our prosperity across the seas to places like India and Korea. And we need to put an end to the use of our utility companies, and particularly to the overtaxation of our consumers and small businesses in order to promote this agenda. As governor of the state of New Jersey, I will roll back these utility increases. We will put an end to these utility surcharges, but most of all, we'll put an end to the Board of Public Utilities using your utility bills, folks, the people of New Jersey, using your utility bills to fund their agenda. This economy can no longer afford these higher taxes, no longer afford the manipulation of our utility authority, of our government regulation, and of our utility companies to implement their agenda. You know, with the passage of the utility increases just passed by the BPU several weeks ago, which there were hearings around the state, it was explained that these increases are being passed so that Governor Corzine can fast-track his efforts to implement new programs and new construction programs, allegedly to make our utility companies more green. This is nothing more than a make-work project designed to create more jobs temporarily at a time the economy cannot afford this type of social engineering. We should be looking for ways to bring new energy to the economy through things like nuclear power plants and offshore drilling to bring down the price of oil and take advantage of the $84 billion or so estimated barrels of oil off the intercontinental coast, and to make New Jersey an economic powerhouse. Use of our utility bills on the utility companies to extend the government and extend their own social engineering schemes must stop. And the legislature should act now, right now, to put an end to these efforts. And I assure you as governor, one of my first executive orders is going to be to put an end to the use of the BPU for these items. So I thank you for having me, and I'd like to take any questions from the press.
Any plans on overhauling the BPU or eliminating it as a state division?
Thank you. That's a great question. The question is, are there any plans for overhauling the BPU? Absolutely. We need to have new BPU board members who understand that their job is there to safeguard the consumer, not advance the agenda of this administration, or any administration for that fact. The BPU should serve one purpose: to protect the interests of consumers, not use BPU energy bills, to implement some government agenda, some left-wing agenda, for that matter. And by the way, my opponent, Chris Christie, is dead silent on these issues. Dead silent. Him and his campaigners take no position on these utilities increases. My opponent, Chris Christie, and his Republican insider supporters have been part of this problem. They've actually allowed this to advance unopposed. And the people of this state are paying the price as they're opening their utility bills this week, and especially when they open them in July and August. But that's it, guys. I want to thank you for coming. Hope I got my message across. Thank you. Was it?